Hey guys, Kyle here, classfordisprayers.com, and we are back again with our third and final video of the Triumph Sunset Tripper series. If you all haven't seen the first two videos in the clutch rebuild series, I highly recommend watching them. You can find them on our YouTube channel. The first video, we went ahead and showed the complete disassembly, and the second video, we show the clutch inspection. Please remember that this is not a how-to video. This is a video on how we rebuilt the clutch. Without further ado, let's dig in. All right, first things first, we're going to work on the trap door. We already installed a new seal shown in the second video, and we have a new paper gasket that we would like to install. So I'm going to have Curtis use Hylamar gasket maker, and he's going to apply it all the way around the gasket and apply it to the trap door. Hylamar makes really great products, and it's great for a gasket maker. If you have to go in and remove the gasket, it makes it a lot easier. That way you have no tears, no residue left behind, and it's a really clean and simple product. Before we install the trapdoor cover, we're going to clean the gasket surface and put a little bit of assembly lube on the high gear sleeve. The reason for the assembly lube is to be able to act as a guide or lubricant for the oil seal when we offer the entire trapdoor cover to the case. Now that the trapdoor cover has been installed on the drive side case, we're going to put a little bit of Loctite on each of the 6 screws. This makes sure that the screws don't back out and they stay nice and tight. Now that the trapdoor cover is on and secure, let's move on to the next step. Since we will be installing a new alternator and rotor, I'm going to have Curtis remove the existing wire and cut the old wire from the harness. Before we install the entire clutch basket assembly, I'm going to have Curtis do some prep work on the drive side primary gasket surface. So what he's going to be doing is applying some WD-40, and he's going to be using a very fine stone to knock down any high spots, basically deburr it and remove any old gasket that might be left behind. Next up, we are going to do a dry clutch rebuild. And essentially what we're going to be doing here is I'm going to have Curtis install the clutch basket assembly, just the basket, no plates, and then we're going to install the front sprocket. So essentially what we're going to be doing is we're going to go to the bike, we're going to tighten everything down, and we're going to check the alignment between the front sprocket and the basket. This is a really important step. Oftentimes this gets overlooked. However, we cannot assume, even though the bike came with all these components from the factory, it's very possible things might be misaligned. If they are, we can go ahead and correct it before we install the entire assembly. Now that the engine crankshaft sprocket and the clutch basket is in place, we're going to grab our precision ground parallel. We're going to check the relationship between the front and the back, and based off what I see, everything looks good. Now that we have confirmed that the front sprocket and the clutch basket are indeed in line, we are going to take all the components off the bike, and now we're actually going to assemble all the parts for final assembly. Curtis found that the hub was a little tight on the sleeve, so I recommended him to go to the arbor press to be able to press all the pieces together. In the first video and disassembly, I found that the primary chain was worn, so we're going to install a new OEM quality chain made by Reynolds. This is the same brand of chain that we removed from the bike, and I find that Reynolds chains are the best quality chains that you can install in an old Triumph or really any British motorcycle. With the main shaft washer and nut in place, we're going to use our factory tri-core tool and our torque wrench to torque the nut to the proper torque specification. Now that my arm got a good workout, we're going to move on to the primary chain adjuster. Curtis is installing the primary chain adjuster, and he's going to adjust it. Then he's also going to set the preload and check the tension before we put the primary cover on. Since the clutch plates that came out of the bike are original to 1970, we're going to install 6 new friction plates and 6 new steel plates. These plates are made by MGO. Curtis is getting his groove on by sanding in a circular motion on all of the plain plates. Basically what's going to happen here is we want these plates to be able to bite and prevent it from slipping. So I've always found that giving them a good scuff up works pretty well. Now that all the plates have been sanded, we're going to spray some brake cleaner on it to make sure that we remove any type of debris or abrasive material. Moving forward, we're going to install all new 12 clutch plates. The first plate that we insert is going to be the friction plate, and the last one will be the plain plate. With the clutch plates installed, we're going to install our outer pressure plate, new clutch springs, and the 3 clutch nuts. Before we install the clutch adjuster, we need to make sure that we insert the rod. So Curtis is going to lubricate both sides of the rod using some high pressure grease. Once both sides have been lubricated, we will insert the clutch push rod through the main shaft. Same process as the clutch push rod. We're going to put some grease on the end of the clutch push rod adjuster, and then we're going to thread the adjuster into the outer pressure plate. Before I button up the clutch and tighten everything down, we're going to go to the handlebars and loosen the adjuster. That way we have maximum slack. Then we're going to install our dial indicator. The dial indicator is going to help us zero out the outer pressure plate as there is currently run out. Considering that the outer pressure plate is stamped steel and there will be some type of run out no matter what you do, we're going to use the indicator here and try to get it as zero as much as we possibly can. Essentially, we're going to pull the clutch in, we're going to kick down on the lever, and we're going to measure and try to get as close as we can to zero. Based off what I see and what I feel, everything looks good, so we can move forward. Next up, we're going to install the rotor spacer, followed by the rotor keyway. The rotor keyway is going to drive the rotor and prevent the rotor from spinning on the shaft. Since we're going to install a new stator, we're going to be installing a new rotor. This rotor is made by MGO. This is a direct replacement from the original Lucas rotor that we took off the bike. Since the Sunset Tripper only has a small headlight, taillight, and a horn, we decided to go with the MGO 10 amp stator. Now that we're going to be installing the stator over the rotor, there's a few things that I would like to talk to you about. Whenever you're installing a stator or rotor combo or mix matching original and new parts, you always have to check the clearance between the rotor and the stator. No exceptions. All the leading motorcycle manufacturers back in the day, as well as Lucas, claims that there has to be a minimum of 8 thousandths gap between the rotor and the stator. The reason why you need the 8 thousandths gap, or slightly more, which is not an issue, is simply because there is runout. If there is any type of runout on your crankshaft and your rotor interferes with the stator, that could lead to a very, very dangerous situation. The best way to check for the 8 thousandths minimum clearance is to use feeler gauges as shown. Now that the rotor has the proper 8 thousandths clearance, I'm having Curtis do some more dirty work. He's going to start working on the primary cover. He's going to prep everything with WD-40. Then he's going to use the same stone that he's been using on the other gasket surfaces throughout the video to make sure that the primary cover is flat, no debris, no burrs, and no gasket material left behind. Curtis is getting his fingers sticky again. He's applying High Lamar gasket maker, the same type of gasket maker that we use on the trap door gasket. He's putting the gasket on top of the primary cover. Then he's going to offer the entire primary cover to the engine case. Now that the primary cover is on the drive side case, I'm going to have Curtis install all the screws, washers, and acorn nuts. Just wanted to give you guys some assurance here. When we're using the power drill, it is on a very low torque rating, so we're not going to strip anything. After we use the power drill, we actually go by hand using our Phillips screwdriver, and we use our ratchet to make sure everything is snug and at the proper torque rating. Before we put oil in the primary chain, we have to remove this bolt. This bolt is called the oil level drain plug. Once the oil level drain plug has been removed, we're going to remove the plug from the top. This is also called the filler plug. Once the filler plug has been removed, we will install oil. The oil that I will be running is O'Reilly generic engine oil, which is a 520 multi-grade oil. Here's a little bit of teamwork. Kyle here working on the exhaust pipes, and then you have Curtis working on the muffler. We're able to get everything together. I will definitely say putting the exhaust pipe components back on the bike was a lot easier than removing them. All right, so there you have it. The Sunset Tripper is ready to go. So I want to have Curtis take the bike down from the lift. We're going to go around the shop and do a startup just to make sure everything is looking good. Oh, geez. Guys, thank you so much for watching today's video. This is part 3 of the Triumph Sunset Tripper clutch rebuild. If you guys enjoyed today's video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We really appreciate it. Curtis was able to take the bike out for a test ride. We did kind of like a leak down test, I guess if you want to call it. It passed, so no oil leaks. Everything's shifting properly. There's no clutch drag, so it's ready to hit the road. Curtis, what did you think about the bike?
It was pretty nice, really smooth. A little strange when you're going slow.
Yeah, because it kind of does this like weird wobble that we talked about before, and but I know it kind of looks goofy to some people, but it's actually a really nice. It can make a really nice road bike. I'll put it that way. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Don't forget to check out our Sunset Tripper t-shirts. I don't have one on. We don't have one on.
They're
and
dirty.
You said they're dirty.
Yeah, they're dirty.
They're dirty, and because we've been working. But if you guys could take a look at them, if you guys like the bike, feel free to check out the Sunset Tripper t-shirts. It's going to a great cause. You get to keep this poor old motorcycle on the road. So you know, just $20 some, you get yourself a t-shirt, and keep the bike on the road. So anyways, all jokes aside, thank you so much. I really appreciate all the subscribers and the comments. You guys have been really uplifting and very positive, and Curtis and I, we do appreciate it. So we have a lot more content that we're working on, a lot more things that we would like to do together. Curtis is 17, as you guys know that. His background is, what is your background? Farming?
Sure.
Farmer boys. And no, but he's really inspired, and he really likes classic motorcycles and things of that sort, so he wants to get his hand dirty. So I think it would be a great experience, because my experience and my knowledge be able to help him out, and also be able to help you guys out, you know, if someone is new and wants to learn how to work on their vintage British bike. So we're both learning together, I'll put it that way. So anyways, I hope you guys have a great night and a great evening, and we'll chat soon. See you on the next video. Peace.
Peace.
All right, let's go.